In a quiet residential yard, a worker climbs an A-frame ladder to cut a thick tree branch overhead. The moment the cut finishes, the entire situation suddenly shifts. Never stand within the swing radius of a suspended tree limb, and never use a motorized pole saw from an unsecured ladder. Outside a secure facility, a red flatbed truck repositions with a large appliance on its open rear deck. As the load shifts toward the edge, a nearby worker moves into the danger zone. Never try to catch, stop, or control a shifting heavy load. Once cargo begins moving under gravity, its momentum quickly exceeds what a person can safely control. Transport crews must secure every load with properly rated straps, restraints, and tie-down points before the vehicle moves. If cargo begins to shift or slide, workers should warn others and clear the area immediately. Equipment can be replaced, but stepping into the path of moving material is never a safe response. Inside a grain warehouse, workers move through a narrow aisle beside tall, stacked sacks. Without warning, the unstable load shifts and spills into the passage. Never work within the collapse area of freestanding, high-stacked storage sacks that are not properly supported, interlocked, or arranged for stability. Tall stacks can lose stability due to uneven loading, minor disturbances, vibration, or poor stacking geometry, turning stored inventory into a serious storage instability risk. Facility managers must enforce safe stacking heights, solid base widths, and proper layering to prevent unstable vertical storage. Ground crews should avoid narrow spaces between high stacks unless the area is designed for safe access. On this residential access road, a pedestrian walks with their back turned as an ambulance reverses into the same shared space, creating a serious blind spot hazard. Never walk with your back to active vehicle movement, and never reverse a box-style commercial or emergency vehicle without a dedicated ground spotter when visibility is limited. These vehicles have large blind areas behind and around the rear corners, making it easy for a driver to miss someone in the reversing path. Drivers must use a trained spotter or confirm a fully clear path with working backup cameras and alarms before reversing, especially in pedestrian shared areas. Pedestrians should stay alert to moving vehicles and avoid assuming a driver can see them. At a roadside job site, a crane lifts a heavy concrete pole into the air, but as the load moves outward, something about the crane's balance starts to change. Never operate a mobile truck crane without following the manufacturer's load chart for the exact boom length, lift radius, and load weight. A crane relies on a careful balance between counterweights, outriggers, boom position, and the suspended load, and exceeding those limits can quickly create a stability hazard. To prevent this, operators must calculate the load weight, lift radius, and travel path before the lift begins. If the load begins to drift, rotate, or move outside the planned path, the operation should stop immediately, as even small changes in radius can significantly increase tipping forces. In a busy distribution center, a worker focuses on stacking boxes. Just behind her, a truck begins reversing into the area, but the truck's position creates a limited visibility area. Never turn your back on an active vehicle lane, and always use a dedicated ground spotter when reversing a truck in a shared work area. Drivers can lose sight of the space directly behind the vehicle, especially where pedestrians and reversing traffic overlap. Facilities should create clear separation zones so pedestrian tasks and vehicle movement stay out of the same path. Drivers must not reverse unless a trained spotter maintains constant visual contact and communication. In shared traffic areas, separation and awareness are the first layers of protection. On an elevated ramp, a worker stands in front of a silver pickup while guiding it into position. The driver's error sends the vehicle forward unexpectedly. Never stand directly in front of a moving vehicle while guiding it into position. On a narrow, elevated surface, even a small control error can send the vehicle forward unexpectedly and remove the space needed to react. Spotters should stand at a safe 45-degree angle outside the vehicle's direct path while keeping clear visual contact with the driver. Elevated ramps should use wheel stops, edge protection, and controlled alignment procedures to prevent overrun. Safe positioning and mechanical safeguards must always work together. On a construction site, two workers drop a heavy cement bag from an elevated steel frame to a worker below. But as the bag descends, gravity quickly increases the load force. Never attempt to catch heavy construction materials transferred from an elevated height. The instant a mass begins descending freely, its force increases beyond safe manual handling limits, and what seems manageable at rest becomes extremely difficult to control safely once momentum is added. Use mechanical hoists, pulley systems, controlled lowering lines, or properly secured chutes to move heavy materials from one level to another. Ground workers must remain clear of the area below whenever materials are overhead, even during short transfers. On a muddy construction site, a large crane lifts a heavy excavator clear of the ground. But as the suspended machine rises, the crane's stability reduces. Never operate a crane beyond its maximum rated capacity or outside its safe operating radius. Overloading the machine, misjudging the radius, or lifting from unstable ground conditions can reduce the crane's safety margin and create a fast-developing stability and load control risk. Crane operators must verify the exact weight of the load, confirm the lift radius, and continuously monitor the load moment indicator throughout the operation, never ignoring alarms or warning thresholds. On stage, a singer rises through the floor on a mechanical lift during a live entrance. As the platform reaches stage level, a support issue causes it to drop suddenly. Never stand on a mechanical stage lift unless its fail-safe locks and braking systems have been fully verified. Without a reliable backup restraint, a lift can suddenly drop if the primary system loses support. Production crews must inspect and test every stage lift before use, including emergency locks, secondary restraints, and stop systems. Performers should step clear as soon as the platform reaches stage level to reduce exposure around the lift opening. Inside an active warehouse, a worker tries to snap a long wooden plank by pressing down on it across an elevated ledge. Instead, the stored force kicks the opposite end upward, creating a sudden strike hazard. Never use your body weight to break construction materials over an improvised fulcrum. When force is applied to an uncut board supported at one point, the material can flex, store energy, and release that energy unexpectedly, creating a rebound risk in the operator's immediate space. Always use proper mechanical tools, such as saws, cutting devices, clamps, or controlled striking tools, when shortening or dismantling materials. Workers should never place themselves within the likely rebound path of a stressed board or other loaded material. In this unfinished interior space, a tiler attempts to lower a large porcelain slab into position using a wide, low squat. As the weight shifts, his balance shifts. This demonstrates the risk associated with overextension during manual material handling. Squatting with legs spread wide shifts the body's center of gravity away from stable support. Use vacuum suction cups and coordinate a two-person placement method from an upright, stable stance. Keep footwear on dry, secure surfaces and avoid straddling wet areas. For oversized tiles, use tile carts, placement frames, or temporary walking boards to maintain a consistent footing throughout the task.